A cough or a sneeze that triggers a fart. So I have a picture for this, which is just a picture of me sneezing, and that's where we're going to leave it at.
Have I got a story with about that one for you?
You do? All right.
Hmm.
Go for it.
All right. So when I was in middle school, I was in a Christian school. We were taking a Bible exam, and there was a girl. I won't name names because I don't want to call anybody out.
Okay.
But there was a girl in my class that was. We were all taking the exam. We were all being quiet, and she proceeded to try to cover up a fart with a sneeze. And yeah, everybody was quiet, and all of a sudden, in the middle of a Bible exam, you hear, and then you hear the, and I'm like, wait, everybody just stopped. We all just started laughing. We're like, you're supposed to cough while you're farting, not after you cough or after you fart. Your
Please tell
timing
me.
was.
Please tell me that in order to make the sound effect of farting, you actually did it, like on
Oh,
command.
oh no, I did not fart.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But on top of it, it was worse because it was one of those wet farts.
Golly.
Yeah, and so anybody that was within a 5 foot perimeter of her, you just saw the desk just go shoot out in all directions.
So that was more of a situation where it was used to cover up one, not that it prompted it. This kind of topic boils down more to, have you ever shit yourself? I can't think of a time when I have in my adult life. I mean, as a kid, sure. I mean, there was a time whenever I was, in fact, sitting in church. It wasn't a cough or a sneeze involved at all, but I did wind up with having to run down the aisle in front of like 7 or 8 different aisles because my parents like to sit in the middle of the auditorium, and make a mad dash, like limping because of not wanting to cause additional smearing on the way to the bathroom to take care of the damage. But yeah, I mean, I really can't think of a time when a sneeze or a cough has made me have a bowel movement. But I could feel like that if that happened, that would be really, really unfortunate. Now, I do have a spare pair of underwear and socks in my truck in case of emergencies, so I could mitigate the problem as long as I didn't do it a second time, as long as I didn't like reload the magazine and fire again. So I feel like because I've never done this before, I'm not going to put it in F, but I do think that if it were to happen, it would make me extremely distraught. So, Zindi, do you object to putting coughing or sneezing in a way that makes you poop yourself in anything besides C?
I would say that's an F, man. You freaking if you got stuff running down your leg, that's a definite F.
All right. All right, we'll put it in F. F is starting to get really big right now.
I mean, I can't say any positives to put it in any lower than that.
That's where
I
that'll
mean,
go.
unless you're just somewhere where you don't want to be and it gets you out of there. I mean, that's the only way I see that being a positive.
Okay, so the next item on the list. Let me go back through the chat and see if dropping a screw, nut, or tool while on a ladder. David, I have a script page for you. Dropping things. Just the topic itself of dropping things, all right? Imagine for a moment a single page of paper. A page that extends up into the sky, beyond the moon, further than our species has or ever will travel. And imagine on every line of this page, repeating forever and ever into the void above, you read the word hate. Consider for a moment the depth and severity of the hate that the author must feel to be compelled to sit and write 1,000 inkwells dry, possessed with the singular goal of expressing that there is no universe in which he feels anything less than absolute hate, and you will catch but a merest glimpse of how much I hate dropping things. Tools, food, my phone, my drink, my reading glasses, my bar of soap, my hopes, my dreams, my life, my body. I hate gravity. I hate losing things. I hate the interruption of the otherwise carefree existence that I lead, that I must now yield all form and purpose and structure and direction to the one horrible obsession with reclaiming what is mine. Zendi?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I switched headsets.
I got you. Okay. So, what is your opinion of dropping things?
I do it all the time.
Okay. So, I'm glad you have experience in the genre. Okay. So,
It's not fun.
right.
I don't think it's 100% F tier all the time. I would probably give it a C.
Okay. All right. C's fair. C's fair. I also put it in C. Goes in F. Really? Now, we can't just rank everything on the list in F. I get because it happens way more often than it blasted well should, and it's so disruptive when it does happen. Sockets into holes. Not mention dropping things into the 12th dimension, never to be seen again. It's interesting you should mention dropping tools because I had an impact that is a DeWalt brand impact. Worked like a charm. Absolutely no problem with it. I love DeWalt brand. And I dropped this impact off of the top of a 12-foot ladder, and it landed on concrete because I was trying to. What was I doing? Is something in the ceiling? I think I was screwing in a bracket for a 2x4 light fixture I was trying to put into a hard ceiling. Yes. Yes, because it was panhead screws, yeah. So I dropped this DeWalt impact off the top of this 12-foot ladder, and it landed on the battery. Never had an issue with the battery or the impact. But my battery died about 2 hours later because I've been using it a lot, so I had to get a new battery. But I didn't have one, so I had to borrow my coworker's impact. He had a Milwaukee. I didn't drop it, but I gave it back to him, and he set it on top of his ladder. After I got done with what I was doing, after I got done with my task, I gave it back to him. He set it on top of his ladder and reached his hands up to work on what he was working with. He hit it with his elbow. It fell and hit the ground, shattered it.
See, your big mistake there was you took that up the ladder.
Well, yeah.
If you're going to take anything up the ladder, I learned this when I was installing stuff. If you take anything up a ladder, it's a Black & Decker because you don't give a crap if it breaks.
Just like a Pittsburgh, just some generic shit you got from Harbor Freight.
Black & Decker or anything other than a Royal what is it? Royal B Ryobi or a I mean, you can even take a Cobalt up there and drop it. I don't even care.
The thing about Cobalts, though, is those things are hardy. A Cobalt is cheap, but it's really hard to break one. But whenever it does break, it breaks forever. Like, you're not fixing it. So we're good with putting dropping things in F, just because it happens. It's one of the most common annoyances that we face. Like, every single person who's ever lived has dropped something and didn't want to. Like, not everybody has had a deer jump out in front of their vehicle because vehicles are a relatively new invention. Not everybody has had to deal with the highway department because highway departments are a relatively new invention and are only relevant in specific countries. But dropping things, every single person who has ever walked the face of this godforsaken mud pie of a planet we call home has had something in their hands or something on a surface that is elevated above the ground, and they dropped something. And it really, really annoyed them.
I got another thing for your list. Okay. That jerk named Murphy and his dang laws.
And that dang law that he wrote, man. Why did he have to go and do the law, man? Like waking up to a numbed limb. Now, I have a story for this. Losing circulation in an arm or leg due to sleeping in an awkward way is a minor grievance that can be amended simply by waiting. But sometimes, those few minutes of shaking the limb to revive it could be the most horrifying experience of your life. Let me tell you a story about a lady who was a friend of my family many years ago, back when rotary phones were on the way out. Her name was Mrs. Jewell. She was a kindly, pure-hearted old soul, roughly in her mid-70s, living in a 2-story house that her late husband had owned for decades. She woke up after midnight one night to the sound of someone smashing her front door open. The first thought that crossed her mind was to call 911 on the old ivory rotary phone on her bedside table, but she could not move her arms. She had slept with them underneath her, and now the sound of wood splintering and glass breaking downstairs was beaten out only by the crash of her clubbing her arms against the bedpost, trying desperately to regain control of her hands. Finally, she managed to move her fingers just enough to knock the phone off the hook. But just as she began fumbling with the dial, she heard the intruder stomping upstairs. They weren't here to rob the place. They were here to get her. She heard the operator shouting into the phone as she scrambled to lock her bedroom door, clawing at the knob, her fingers sliding all around the bolt. Finally, she managed to secure the lock, and just as she was about to pick up the phone and beg for the police, the man in the hallway kicked her door with a venomous fury. The 911 operator gave the address to the police, who arrived a few minutes later to find that the intruder had fled, and they found Miss Jewell huddled in her closet, too terrified to open her bedroom door and let the officers in. She was sure that the voices in the hallway, assuring her that it was safe to come out, were just the unseen attacker, continuing to try to coax her out, as he had been the entire time the police were en route to save her. This woman almost died in a home invasion because her arms were asleep and she couldn't use the phone. Also, my grandfather broke 2 ribs because he fell out of his bed because his legs were asleep. Yeah, the numbed limbs thing, like I said, my grandfather broke 2 ribs. I have never really had that major of an issue with it myself. And I feel like most experiences that people have with numbed limbs are not that big of a deal. Not certainly not life-threatening. But that's just an example of the worst possible end of the spectrum. Zendi, what's your experience? Have you had any near-death experiences with having a numbed limb?
I never had near death experience with a numb limb. I've had both my arms fall asleep while I woke when I was sleeping, and you wake up and you're trying to wake them up, and you look like a freaking windmill, flailing around trying to get them to wake up, hoping that your partner next to you doesn't sit up, so just in case so you don't knock them out.
Because this usually doesn't result in anything major, I'm actually willing to put this in S tier. It doesn't usually end in a life-threatening situation. It's usually just something.
It's annoying 100% of the time, though.
Yeah, it's always annoying, but I feel like it's not always like life-threatening. So we'll put that in S. Let's take care of running out of toilet paper, which I believe I do have on the list. I just don't think I wrote a script page for it.
Yeah, there's nothing like going to your favorite concert or your outdoor concert like Ozfest or something. You go to the bathroom and all the toilet paper's gone. You don't realize it. And you're in the freaking stall and you're with your pants hanging around your ankle. And nobody gets you more toilet paper.
I need to take a picture of a toilet paper roll so that I could put this in here. Hang on. So, on a job site, we have porta johns. We do not have actual like hard set toilets that we can use. So, because you've got 10 people all trying to file into the same plastic box, toilet paper tends to run out pretty quickly. Whenever you sit down and you realize that you will not stand back up a clean man, it changes you. You will always remember to check before you commit to the poopifications. I'm going to put this in a C. Because if you just pay attention, this won't bother, like this won't happen to you. If you just look to make sure that there's toilet paper, you will never deal with this.
Rain, we might have to reassess F with some of those things that are in there. Maybe move some of them down to C.
I feel like screaming babies shouldn't be up here. That's the one thing that I've been looking at. I don't feel like screaming babies should be up here.
I don't think the traffic cone belongs up there. I think that's more of a C, but it is a pain in the ass.
Traffic cones, and thus the...
Maybe windows.
The Associated Highway Department?
Yeah, either that or windows, one of the two.
I refuse to move Highway Department because of the massive amount of disruption that comes with the Highway Department, but I could see moving Windows errors down to probably what, B? Which means we've got more room for Fs, and I know that a lot of people have a lot of opinions about a lot of things, and a lot of things they want to put in F. So yeah, that's cleared up now. Cybertruck design. I don't own a Cybertruck. The only time that I've ever interacted with a Cybertruck was in Fortnite because somebody had a Cybertruck skin. Personally, I don't care. It doesn't affect me at all, and I don't care what somebody else's car looks like. And if someone drove a Cybertruck next to me, I would think, huh, there go a Cybertruck. And I would go about my day. So, left to my own devices, I wouldn't put this anything less than an S. Like, I would put that there, because it doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah,
but
same.
I can see where it's, it does look like someone's driving an electric razor.
We've had multiple instances of people with them where bears or raccoons think they're dumpsters and they're trying to break into the back of them, and they've got you can see teeth mark and claw marks all over the back of them. Ugly design, but it doesn't affect me.
I am reluctant to put an actual picture of an actual Cybertruck in the tier list because I'm pretty sure I could not get a single image of one that's not copyrighted and would probably get my house blown up if I were to put the actual picture of the Cybertruck. Like Elon would drop a Skynet or Skylink or Starlink nuke on me. So let me go ahead and just draw a picture.
Just put CT. We know what it is.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. All right, let me bring this down here, put that right there, and then fill this back in. And I think this is the start of something special. All right, so we've got truck design ranked. Can we agree that poop just goes in F no matter what?
Yeah.
In any context.
Well, if you're farming, you need it for fertilizer.
If you're farming, it's not. If you're farming, you're not even worried about the fact that it's poop because to you, it's not even poop; it's fertilizer. But the idea of poop itself, as a concept, is just so inconvenient and so disruptive and so annoying. So I think I'm going to make a picture of a poop emoji. And now poop is in F. Okay, I'm falling behind in chat again. Well, we got it all covered. Not all of it. No. You got to think of the thousands of possibilities for this list. If you've got ideas, hammer them out. Hammer them out. I guarantee you, 99% of what you've said we don't have covered. This list is completely comprised of things that have been suggested to me because I only had 26 items and those appeared in the first list.